Okay, so I'm doing the even ones on this video on worksheet 7.2 WSPM. Let's go to number 2. Yes, there's 9 to the 12th power up on top. That means 9 times 9, 12 times. So there's 12 nines up there. There's 8 nines on the bottom. 8 nines cancel out with 8 of those, and you will have 4 of those nines left over up on top. So I would just say leave it as 9 to the 4th. Okay, now of course you could actually work that out. Like if you have a calculator, 9 times 9 times 9 times 9, hit the equal button, and you get 6,561, or you could just leave it 9 to the 4th. Now if it's easy, like 9 squared, yeah, change it to 81. But 9 to the 4th, you could leave it like that, or you could write it as 6,561. Going on to the next one, number 4. Remember, we could cancel out whatever is alike on the top and the bottom. So like right here, we have r to the 3rd. That's really like a r times r times r. This is another r to the 3rd, r times r times r. Now, of course, that's totally pointless because one r cancels with the other, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Instead of doing that, just say, okay, I got r to the 3rd right here, r to the 3rd right there, cancel it out, it's gone. On the t's, I have 2 t's up on top. All 2 of them cancel out with 2 of these 4, and I will have 2 left over on the bottom. So when we look at this, there's nothing left up on top. So I need to put a 1. If there's nothing left up on top, I need to put a 1. On the bottom, the r's are completely gone, but there is a t squared on the bottom, and that's your answer. Let's move on to number 6. I do have coefficients 9 and 3. So if you want, you could look at this as 9 over 3. And 9 over 3 is really 9 divided by 3. What is 9 divided by 3? The answer is 3, and the answer belongs on top. Okay. Another way of looking at it is rewriting the 9 as 3 times 3. And you do have a 3 down here, which cancels out with one of these 3's. So what's left? Just the 3. That's kind of pointless to do. The quicker way is to just say, okay, I have 9 on top divided by 3. The answer is 3. So the answer does belong on top. If the 9 would have been on the bottom, the 3 would be on the bottom. So anyways, 9 divided by 3, the answer is 3, and the answer is on top. Now let's go for the d's. So keep in mind that 9's not there anymore. It's just 3. Okay. The d's, I have 6 d's on the bottom that cancel out with 6 of these. Maybe I should have said 6 of D's. Get it? 6 of D's? No? All right, forget it. So I have one D left up there. So what do I have as a final answer? I have a fraction. I really don't have a fraction. There's nothing left on the bottom. I could put the 1, but I don't need to. And on top, I have the 3 and D to the 1 power. D to the 1 power. So that is your answer, but the best answer would just be 3D, because anything divided by 1 is that same thing, and the 1 is not even necessary to write as the power on the D. So that's your answer, 3D. Let's move on to number 8. It's all about canceling. There's 4 W's up on top. Those completely cancel out with the 4 that are on the bottom. There is 1 X on the bottom that completely cancels out with one of these, and there's really 3 up on top. So if 1 cancels with one of the 3, you will have 2 left. So again, your answer is over 1, which you don't really need. And the only thing left is x squared up on top. So your answer is x squared. Why? Because x squared divided by 1 is x squared. So that is your answer for number 8. Number 10, let's cancel some stuff out here. How about m to the 3? There's 3 m's on the bottom, cancels with 3 of the 7 up on top. So that's really 4 m's left up on top. And the p's, well, both p's cancel out with both p's. So the only thing left, again, there's nothing left on the bottom, so it's kind of pointless to put the divided by 1. But up on top, we really do have that m to the 4th power. So your answer is exactly that, m to the 4th power. Because m to the 4th divided by 1 is your final answer, m to the 4th. Again, what I like to do is look at the coefficients first. So on number 12, I like to look at the 32 and realize that it's being divided by -8. So I could do it this way. 32 divided by -8, the answer is 4. -4, that is. And where does that -4 belong? Does it belong on the top or on the bottom? It belongs on the top. Okay, so I already know my answers are going to have a -4 up there instead of 32. Okay, another way of doing it would be to change the 32 to 4 times 8. Okay, and then you could cancel out this 8 up here with this 8 down here, and you have the negative sign that you're going to bring up and put it on the 4. So that's how you end up with the -4 anyway. So I like to just think of it as a division problem. 32 divided by -8. The answer is -4. And of course, the answer goes up on top. Why? Because the 32 was up there. And so the answer is up there. If the 8 would have been up here and the 32 down there, then the answer would be down there. Let's cancel out everything else. So the 32 divided by -8, that gave us -4 up on top. And then there's an x down here that cancels out with one of these 3, so I have 2 left over. And then the y on the bottom cancels out with one of these y's, so you'll just have 1 left over. And the z's, there's 2 z's on the bottom that cancel out with 2 of the 5, and you'll have 3 left over. So your final answer is going to have a -4 up on top, an x squared, a y to the 1, which you don't need to put 1, and a z to the 3rd. And it is over 1, but that's unnecessary. So you could just say that your final answer is right there and not put the over 1. That's your answer. Number 14. Right here we have 4 to the -4th power. Again, let's go over that rule that says that you cannot have negative exponents. You have to take the term with the negative exponent and move it to the other side of the fraction. Again, if there is no fraction, just make it look like a fraction. And you're going to take that term and move it to the bottom, which means that it will become a positive exponent once you move it. So up on top, since there's nothing left after you move it, you're going to have a 1 up there. And then at the bottom, you will have the 4 to the 4th power. Okay, so your answer is 1 over 4 to the 4th. And on a calculator, you could go 4 to the 4th power and find out that that's 256. So 1 over 256 is your answer. Number 16, there's 2 ways of doing this problem. One would be to distribute from the outside of the parentheses to the inside on both of them. And that would give you 5 to the -2 over 3 to the -2. And then you would apply the negative exponents and move that one down and move this one up to make them positive. And you'd get 3 squared on top and 5 squared on the bottom, which means you'd have 9 over 25 as your final answer for number 16, 9 over 25. Now another way of doing it, I rewrote it down here, and I like to call this the shortcut or the trick. When you have parentheses with an exponent on the outside, you can change the negative exponent to a positive exponent. So we're going to change that -2 to a +2, but we're going to flip the fraction, make the 5 go on the bottom and 3 go up to the top. So if I do that, I'll end up with a new fraction in here. Instead of 5/3, it'll be 3 over 5. And the power on the outside, instead of -2, it's going to be a +2 now. And then you could distribute the 2 on each of those, and you'll get 3 squared over 5 squared, which again is the same answer, 9 over 25. So it's totally up to you. If you want to apply that trick with the negative exponent where you take the fraction and flip it, you could do that, convert it to positive, and then you'll get to the same answer. Number 18. So we have some h's here. We're going to take the h to the -6 and we're going to move it up. And what are we going to have left? We're going to have the h to the 3rd that was originally up there. We're going to have the h to the +6 because when you move it, it changes to a positive. And of course we're multiplying. So right here we have to use rule 1. H to the 3rd times h to the 6th. You really add exponents. That's what rule 1 says. So h to the 9th is your final answer. Now, of course, there's nothing left on the bottom, so you could put it over 1, but honestly, that's totally pointless because h over 9, or h to the 9th divided by 1 is still h to the 9th. Let's check out number 20. Fun stuff. Negative exponents, you have to move them to the other side of the fraction. So if there is no fraction, put a division bar, make it look like a fraction. This guy's going down, and it'll become k to the 1. This L is also going down, it's going to become L to the +6. What about the m? The m doesn't have a negative exponent, so that one has to stay up there. Now, once again, whenever you do have parentheses, if you notice that there is no exponent to distribute, you could just erase the parentheses. They're unnecessary. So let's rewrite our fraction. And up on top, I have that m to the third that did not change. And on the bottom, I have the k to the 1 because you moved it from the top to the bottom. You moved it from up here down here, so it became positive. And this is also going to become positive, so that on the bottom is going to be an L to the 6th. L to the 6th power. And that's your answer for number 20. Number 22, one of my favorite questions. Yes, you could zoom in and start doing things on the inside, like canceling out 3 P's with 3 of these, you have 2 left over. Cancel 2 W's with 2 of these, you have 1 W left over. Not only that, 16 divided by 2, that's 8. It's left over up on top. But that would all be a waste of time because we see that this whole thing is in parentheses. And the whole thing has the power of 0. And we know the rule that anything to the power of 0 equals 1. Let's move on to number 24. Right here, I'm going to start with the coefficients. Again, we could all do this many different ways. It's just I like starting with the coefficients. I like looking at this like as a separate problem. 15 over 5, that's really 15 divided by 5. So 15 divided by 5, that's 3, and the answer is up on top because the 15 was on top. If it was the other way around, if 15 was on the bottom and 5 was on top, then the answer 3 would be on the bottom. Let's move on to the letters. We have 1x on the bottom. I'm going to scratch that x out, and I'm going to cancel out with 1 of the 6 up on top, so I'll have 5 left over. And for the y's now, I need to take those and move them to the other side to make them positive. So I'm going to grab those and switch them around. Let me rewrite my whole thing so I don't get confused. There's a 3 up there. There's an x to the 5th. There's a y to the positive 9 because that y to the negative 9, when it goes down, it becomes positive. And this y to the negative 11 has to go up and has to become positive as well. So I get a y to the positive 11 as well right there. And there's nothing else to cancel. That is your answer for number 24. Jumping to the last question, number 26. Once again, I like to start with the coefficients. It's like a division problem, 46 divided by negative 6. And if for some reason it weren't divisible, like right here I already know that the answer is negative 8. But let's say it wasn't divisible. Let's say it was like a 40 over negative 6. Then you could treat it like a fraction and reduce it, right? But right here it is divisible. So 48 divided by negative 6, the answer is negative 8, and I'm going to put that answer up on top. So I'm going to scratch these out because I really have a negative 8 up on top. Then I go to my x's. I have 1x on the bottom that cancels with 1 of these, so I'll have 5 left over up on top. And then I'm going to go to the y's. I have 5 y's on the bottom. All 5 y's cancel out with 5 of the 7, and I'll have 2 left over. And then on the z's, I have 5 z's up on top that completely cancel with 5 of the 6, so I'll have 1 left over on the bottom. So let's write our answer. We have a fraction. We have negative 8, we said, up on top. We have x to the 5th up on top. We have y to the 2nd up on top. And on the bottom, everything canceled except for the z to the 1. So I'm just going to put z down here. And that's your answer. The only other thing you could do is you could put the negative, if you wanted to, you could put the negative out here in the middle of the fraction. If it's an open response test, I don't care if you put it in front of the fraction or if you put it, or if you leave it up there. But I believe on the answers I gave you on this worksheet, they did put that negative out here in the middle. Anyways, that's all the even problems explained. On the other video, you had all the odd ones explained. So you have every single question explained on this worksheet 7.2.